It goes without saying, the 2001 Daytona 500 is considered to many NASCAR fans to be one of the darkest days in the sport. Michael Waltrip's first ever career win is completely overshadowed by the loss of Dale Earnhardt. I'd argue that the next race at Daytona, just a few months later, is the greatest day in NASCAR history. See, NASCAR races twice at Daytona each year. The 500 is the biggest race of the year, the Super Bowl of the NASCAR season as it was. But they return again just a few months later for a 400-mile race under the lights. Now, the 2001 Daytona 500 was a wild battle between multiple cars, with Michael Waltrip only leading 27 of the 200 laps that day. On that day in February, it looked like a multitude of cars could have come away with the win. The 2001 Pepsi 400 is not the same. To help put into perspective just truly how insane of a beatdown this race is, here's all of the winners from the past 9 races in recent NASCAR history and how many laps they've led. As of 2024, the last 9 race winners at Daytona have led a combined 80 laps total. The winner of the 2001 Pepsi 400 will go on to lead 117 laps. This is not a close battle among the field. This is a savage domination where one driver will entirely control the field for almost the full length of the race. A combination of a perfect car, the perfect driver, and maybe through using a lesson or two learned from their father. The week leading up to the Pepsi 400, the team behind Dale Jr.'s number 8 Budweiser Chevrolet had tried to treat this week just like every other week. Business as usual. And for the most part, Dale Jr. really does seem to be treating this just like any other Sunday. For the most part. I can't imagine what it would be like to return to the same track that took your father away just months prior. But Jr., to his credit, seems to be handling things about as well as he can. The week before the Pepsi 400 was a scheduled off week for NASCAR, so Dale Jr. took a trip out to Daytona International Speedway, bringing a few of his friends along with him. When they arrive at the racetrack, they realize that it's entirely empty, and that there's an open gate leading to the racing surface. And after briefly getting stopped by a security guard, Dale Jr. is finally able to make his way to the area between turns 3 and 4, where his father's car finally came to rest. And it's here that he realizes that he's going to keep racing, and that he's going to need to keep coming back here. This track did nothing wrong. His dad loved this track. Junior should love it too. And Junior wants to win here. So, for the Dale Earnhardt Jr. team, things are business as usual. Go out there and try to win. This week, the number 8 car is in a specialty paint scheme. They've swapped their traditional red paint for a white one with baseball stitches around the bottom skirt in honor of the 2001 MLB All-Star Game. Junior sits 11th in points right now. The car just one spot above him in the point standing is his teammate, Steve Park. Steve Park picked up the win in the race after the 2001 Daytona 500, taking first in Rockingham for his second ever career win. And in the 16 races this season, Steve Park's got 5 top 5 finishes to show for, including a second place at Darlington, Fort Worth, and at Dover. In fact, that first spring race at Dover was a pretty great race for both Steve Park and Dale Jr. Both DEI cars looked really strong, but they weren't able to beat Jeff Gordon that day. We'll get more into Jeff Gordon later. But Dover was a strong race for both of those DEI cars, scoring 2nd and 3rd place respectively. I wonder where Michael Waltrip finished.
Coach, he's going to be a little trouble in one. Here we go. 2 cars in the wall. Bill Elliott's 1. They ain't done yet, Mike. No, sir. They're coming to the bottom of the racetrack. There's Michael. Crashed.
God damn it, Mikey. It's been a rough run for Michael Waltrip leading up to his return to Daytona. Ever since the first race of the year, it's not been easy going for Michael. I'm not going to speculate why, but I'm pretty sure I know why. Michael Waltrip has just 2 top 20 finishes since the first race of the season, and he also has 2 finishes of 43rd, the very last car on the grid. He needs a rebound, badly, something good that he can hang his hat on. If he can find a good result here at Daytona, maybe that'll help alleviate some of the pains from earlier in this season. The Dale Earnhardt Incorporated team, though, will be facing strong competition coming into Daytona, just like every other race. There used to be a promotion in NASCAR run by a brand called Noble. Now, if you don't know what Noble is, then good for you, because they used to sell tobacco. But they ran a pretty cool little promotion for a few seasons. They created a little mini prize program for the NASCAR drivers and for the fans. Now stick with me here, but if a driver finished in the top 5 during one of NASCAR's crown jewel races, those being at Daytona, Talladega, Charlotte, Darlington, and the Brickyard 400, that driver would be eligible to win $1 million if they win the next crown jewel race on that list. Simply put, if you finish in the top 5 at a big race, and then you end up winning the next big race, you win $1 million. And it's not like these teams really needed an extra motivating reason to want to win a big race, but if you tell me I can go home with an extra $1 million, I'm going to circle that date on my calendar with 2 Sharpies. The Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte was the premier event leading into the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. So we'll take the top 5 from that race, with those drivers being Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, and Bobby Labonte. These 5 drivers all have a chance to win $1 million if they take home the victory at the Pepsi 400. Which is not too shabby for working on a Saturday night. But that's not all, folks. Jeff Gordon is the points leader entering today's race. Now, he might not get $1 million, but a win here would help move him up the standings and help cement his place in the championship lead. The day of the race, it definitely seems like the vibes are up and that the healing has occurred since the events in February. The pre-race show does a fun little segment where they have former drivers tell stories and memories about their favorite times with Dale. Rusty Wallace tells a great story here.
You know, I'm at the Southern 500 and it's about 100 degrees out there and I get ready to get in my car. Man, it stinks bad. It smells real bad. And we'll come to find out Earnhardt qualified right behind me. He's right behind me. He lifted the seat cushion up and dumped a whole can of sardines in that seat.
I mean, I don't even know what I can add to that one there. With that being said, it's time to fire up engines for today's race, and Britney Spears has the honor of saying the most famous words in auto racing.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
The engines fire up and the Cup Series cars return to racing on the Daytona asphalt for the first time since February. Dale Jr. starts the race in 13th. His teammates Michael Waltrip and Steve Park are starting in 22nd and 26th, a little bit further back on the grid. But it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish the race. Now here's something really cool that you just don't see as much anymore. The flashing of lights from everyone bringing their own personal cameras. It always makes me laugh. It doesn't make a difference. Your flash in the 57th row isn't going to light up the cars any better. It's just going to light up the guy in the row in front of you. But watch as the flashes from thousands of cameras go off like fireflies in the night sky as they take the green flag for the first time. Everybody wants a picture of this.
The crowd is on its feet. The 43rd Pepsi 400 goes green on NBC.
We get to lap 3 of the broadcast. The Pepsi 400 is the first race that NBC will cover this year. The previous races, Fox had gone silent in the commentary booth on the 3rd lap of each race. NBC carries that tradition over to their broadcasts, and I'd like to do the same. Sterling Marlin takes the lead early on, with rookie Andy Houston trying to make a move for the first spot. Something that's a little bit different about NASCAR here in these days is you used to get 5 bonus points for leading a lap. And you'll see a bunch of guys try to make runs and take the lead for today's race, because those 5 bonus points could be super valuable at the end of the season. Michael Waltrip has made a run from the middle of the pack, and he comes out of nowhere early on. In less than 10 laps, he's already inside of the top 10. The current points leader, Jeff Gordon, is riding up towards the front too. He's got a well-tuned up car that he hopes can make moves for the win at the end of the race. Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart both go into a super defensive mode early on in the race. They both can win $1 million for finishing first, but they also understand that to win the race, you gotta finish the race. And that's probably going through Tony Stewart's head right now, as I'm sure he has memories of flipping upside down in the Daytona 500 earlier this year. Kevin Harvick leads lap 10 in what would have been the car Dale Earnhardt would have driven for this race, and the crowd goes absolutely nuts.
Kevin Harvick just went all the way to scrape the paint off the outside wall to take the lead from Sterling Marlin.
Isn't it wonderful to watch these young, brave drivers driving around Daytona and Talladega?
And listen to the roar of the fans. This was Dale Earnhardt's car.
Harvick leads for just a single lap, but then gets into a battle with Michael Waltrip, and Harvick gets hung out to dry. Kevin's racing here at Daytona for the first time in his Cup Series career, and he's learning the track on the fly. We get some jockeying of positions between the cars in the front, and after a commercial break, our good friend Michael Waltrip is back leading here at Daytona for the first time since February. But that won't last for long. Dale Jr. is on a mission to the front, and no one is going to stop him, not even his teammates.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes for the lead. The fans all jump to their feet.
Still down there, still there.
Out front,
Clear. All
Earnhardt Jr. leads at Daytona.
You in the quarter time, and they're 2 by 2, about 10 deep behind you.
Check out those fans. They are absolutely loving this as Earnhardt goes to the front.
For Dale Jr., though, this is just business as usual. Let's go ahead and take a peek at some of the other competition here in the race. Bill Elliott is riding around in his number 9 Dodge. In the past, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville has been one of the fastest people to ever drive in NASCAR, quite literally. In 1987, he set the fastest lap ever at Daytona. He then went to Talladega and set the fastest lap in NASCAR history, reaching speeds of over 212 miles per hour. Let's see how he's doing today. Oh, that's not so good. He's all the way back in 43rd. See, Bill's fighting a loose race car. Let's see how the broadcast booth describes a loose race car.
We were talking about loose just a moment ago. Let me show you what we're talking about. The car enters the corner. You turn the steering wheel back on the throttle. There's where you want to be, in the green spot. But the back end, it gets loose, goes up the racetrack, and I saved that baby. How'd you like that, Wally?
Danny, that was a great save. Little exaggerated on the loose there.
A little exaggerated, but
Your car was that loose, you're going to be on pit road now.
I think Bill Elliott's car may be that loose.
Yeah.
I'm going to be completely honest, that might be the worst description for loose that I have ever seen in my life. Anyways, what comes after that is a dominant stretch from the number 8 Chevrolet, where no one is able to take the lead from him. We eventually get to the first green flag pit stops of the day. Dale Jr. leads the first group of cars down pit lane. He's joined by his teammates Michael Waltrip and Steve Park, among other drivers. The group all come and get 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. Over the next few laps, the rest of the running order will make their way down pit lane as well. And here's just a fun little thing I wanted to show you. We're on board with Kevin Harvick right now. He's coming off of pit lane and getting his car up to speed. You're about to see Dale Jr. zip past. Now, Jr.'s already up to speed since he pitted the lap earlier, and oh, there he goes. Something else to note here, pit lane can be a chaotic area. Case in point, look at Ricky Rudd here. Ricky Rudd has overshot his pit box by about 4 boxes. Whoopsies, he's got to reverse it up, and eventually his crew is able to work on his car. But he'll lose a lap because of this. Don't muck it up on pit lane or you'll pay the price for it. The race hits a bit of a calmer phase right now. We get the commentator's curse right now, telling us that there's been no cautions yet in the race as we're about 70 laps into the action. You want to guess what happens a few laps after they show this graphic? Actually, not a wreck. Hey, that's kind of impressive. I really thought we were setting ourselves up for one there. What we are blessed with is a beautiful stint of green flag racing and a masterclass of defense from Dale Jr. in the lead. I thought this battle was pretty fun. Watch as Mike Skinner in the 31 car tries to make a move past Dale Jr. Now Mike makes his way into the lead oh so briefly, only for Dale Jr. to take it away at the line. Listen to the commentators here.
Teammates working up high, so.
And look at Junior go by on the outside of Skinner. Is he going to take the lead back? Yes, he is. Wow. All right, we saw Mike Skinner take the lead, but the record book will never show that.
Got a lead at the start-finish line there for it to count.
No, you're right. But I will. Sorry, Mike. Dale got the best of you. Maybe next time. We get almost 100 laps into the race before the first yellow is thrown. Andy Houston gets a little bit of assistance from behind and finds himself into the outside barrier. And it's just a single car wreck, but it's enough to bring out the caution. Which, in turn, leads to the whole field pitting under caution. Now, Dale Jr. gets out first. His pit box positioning at the end of pit road is a huge advantage. Michael Waltrip, he does not have as much luck. See, Michael's pit box is right next to Mike Skinner, and Waltrip just blows through his pit box. Then he gets stuck in this weird place trying to leave. He just entirely mucks the thing up and loses a ton of track position as a result. The race restarts with 68 laps to go. And just a reminder too, all of the lead lap cars start single file on the outside line, with the lap down cars starting on the inside line. NASCAR was wild back in the day. Dale Jr. gets off to a great run, assisted by his teammate Steve Park behind him in second. Dale Jr. has one goal on his mind, and that's to absolutely dominate the field today as best he can. He will refuse to relinquish the lead. Dale Jr. leads the entirety of this green flag stint, with no one able to get around him for even a single lap. There's one more set of pit stops needed in today's race. Cars can run about 50 laps before needing to refuel here at Daytona, and we're coming up on about 50 laps since the last pit stops. Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart both make their ways to pit lane first. They come together and take 2 sets of tires. A few more cars will follow behind them in the next couple laps. But coming down pit lane at Daytona can be chaotic. Some cars are going nearly 200 miles per hour. Others are trying to go down to 60 to make the pit lane speed limit. It can create some chaos. And chaos we will get.
Unless you're deep in the field.
Here come a large pack of front runners. Trouble off the corner.
31.
Several cars involved. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sterling Marlin, Mike Skinner, Jeff Gordon's in it. Bobby Hamilton. Kurt Busch is in the crash. Dale Jarrett takes to the pit road. Terry Labonte's involved. Caution's out.
We've got a lot of torn up race cars here. Mike Skinner and Kurt Busch both make contact trying to make their ways down pit lane, and a whole motley crew of cars are collected behind him. Mike Skinner gets this honestly pretty cool close-up shot, but I'm sure he wishes he didn't. In total, 12 cars are collected, including Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, and Sterling Marlin, some of the strongest competitors in today's race. This puts Dale Jr. in a bit of a pickle, though. Since he hadn't pit yet, he's going to have to come down to fill up, and he'll cycle behind everyone else who already came down pit lane during the green flag stint. And there is drama as to who gets off of pit lane first between Mike Wallace and Dale Jr. Look at this. They're racing for position at like 70 miles per hour. They're trying to tell NASCAR, hey, I think I was first. NASCAR ultimately rules that Dale Jr. had the spot coming off of pit lane, and they'll put him in front of Mike Wallace. After everything cycles through on the pit stops, Dale Jr. is back in 7th place. Michael Waltrip is in 14th. And welcome Johnny Benson, our new race leader. We'll get a restart, but there is no guarantee that Dale Jr. will be able to make his way up the pack. Anyone who's watched a NASCAR race in the past can tell you how chaotic a restart with just a few laps to go can be, especially on a super speedway. And mind you, this is before NASCAR implemented the overtime rule. This race is going to end in 12 laps, whether we are under caution or not. The green flag flies with 12 laps to go. Dale Jr. wants to make his move on the inside of Bobby Labonte, but he's struggling with some lap down cars. He'll finally get his way past Bobby Labonte, coming to the start-finish line with 10 laps to go. But right as that happens, the caution comes out yet again. This time for Jeff Gordon's car blowing up. Jeff Gordon came into the race as the points leader and he wanted to salvage as many points as he could, but he was caught up in that big one, and his car is not as good as it once was. I just want to take a second to really dive into this top 5 that we have right now. Because I know everybody wants Dale Jr. to win, but every driver wants to win in NASCAR. And I think that is perfectly showcased by the top 5 cars in front of Dale Jr. Jeremy Mayfield will enter into 433 races over the span of his NASCAR Cup Series career. He will only go on to win 5 of them. And 2 of those wins came in the previous 2000 season. Ken Schrader hasn't won a race in over 11 years entering today. But that's more than what Johnny Benson and Dave Blaney can both say, because neither of them have won a race in the Cup Series yet. Oh, and you have Tony Stewart, who wins $1 million today if he comes home first. So yeah, Dale restarting in 6th has his reasons to be nervous. With just a handful of laps to go, let's listen into this interview with Tony Eury, the crew chief for the number 8 car. He doesn't sound super confident.
Well, Dave, Tony Eury Sr. is the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. You've led 111 laps tonight, but it seems like time might be running out. He's sitting back there with caution laps counting away.
Yeah, it's situations that nobody likes to see on a plate race, because they'll be 5 wide when they come back, and there ain't no telling what's going to happen. Definitely, best man's probably not going to win this race. Ain't no telling what's going to happen.
Do you think he will not win the race? Because he said on the radio, I think we can get past him.
Well, we definitely got the car to pass him. And we're definitely going to give it a try. And that Budweiser Chevy will get there. We're going to get there. But this plate racing stuff, it's all with who's in front of you and who's behind you or whatever. So you don't have no control of your own destiny. If we can get there, we'll get there. If we can't, hey, we know who had to pass this car tonight.
Dale's teammates aren't anywhere near him either. Michael Waltrip is restarting in 14th, and Steve Park is stuck back in 22nd. It would take an absolute miracle for Dale to get any help from them in these last few laps. When we take the green flag, there will only be 6 laps remaining. Any cautions would likely end any chances Dale Jr. has of winning. Green flag.
Are you listening?
Time to settle the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 6th in line, and Benson leads on the restart.
Once again, you can't pass on the inside till you get to that line. All right, it's free game. Let's go.
Yeah.
Dale strategically makes his move around Tony Stewart. Tony blocks at first, but is unable to keep Dale behind him. Ken Schrader falls out of line, and Jr. wastes no time making his way past him. Coming to the start-finish with just 5 laps to go, Dale Jr. makes a move into the outside line. And he's gone.
Bobby Labonte pushing through. Jr. to the outside of Mayfield for 3rd.
Seven's coming with you. Seven's coming.
Mike Wallace with him. We can hear Ty Norris telling him, you got help on the outside, Junior.
Does Blaney block in the 93? What about Benson?
He takes the lead in turn 4, and the crowd goes absolutely crazy.
Dale Jr. to the outside of Dave Blaney for 2nd spot. Mayfield pushes him along in the draft.
Still there, still there.
To the outside for the lead in turn 4. Dale Earnhardt Jr. rockets to the front at Daytona. Listen to the crowd.
And look at this crowd behind him. Look at this place behind him.
On the backstretch, somehow, the blue, yellow, and white Napa Chevrolet has emerged. Within the span of 3 laps, Michael Waltrip has clawed his way up 11 spots. Could he sweep both races here at Daytona? Also, Bobby Labonte has come out of nowhere too, looking to pick up his $1 million paycheck if he wins. On the backstretch with 2 laps to go, Michael Waltrip makes a darting move to the inside to try and move into 2nd. Dale Jr. sees it in his rearview mirror and moves down so the 2 can partner up. Coming to the white flag, Dale Jr. and Michael Waltrip are running 1st and 2nd, the same 2 cars that finished 1st and 2nd in the 500 in February, only this time in reverse order. Welcome to a moment in history.
Now 2 team cars race in the 1 and 2 positions.
That's who Dale needs to see in his rearview mirror right now. That's the best thing he can see.
Will Michael Waltrip block for Dale Jr.? Will he try to win the race himself? White flag is out. Final lap at Daytona. 180,000 on their feet, screaming wildly. 2.5 miles to go.
Just exactly the opposite of the Daytona 500. It was 15 and 8. Elliott Sadler is trying to keep Bobby Labonte behind. He can't do it. But he does move down in front of Rusty Wallace on that fast line.
All clear, all clear.
Bobby Labonte looking for some help, trying to get up there. His teammate Tony Stewart has never answered the black flag.
And they're 4 wide back between the Wallace boys.
Here they come, turn 4, final lap of the Pepsi 400. Michael Waltrip in 2nd, but it's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
Benny Parsons is one of the commentators for today's NASCAR race. He's supposed to be impartial and just a voice of the race, not a fan. But I think he speaks for every single fan at the end of this race. And he does it with just a single word.
That's unbelievable.
Yes!
That man behind you did it for
Yes!
you. You guys celebrate. You love you, man. You did it.
That was beautiful. Very, very nice.
Junior, you're happy.
Look at that smile.
And while Dale Jr. does celebrations in the tri-oval grass, Michael Waltrip drives his car to join him. What comes next, in my opinion, is the most beautiful moment in NASCAR history.
What a finish at Daytona. Dale Jr. on top of the car in the infield.
The 1998 Daytona 500, when his father finally won the Great American Race, he threw the car into the grass doing victory donuts. All right, Mikey, you celebrate too. You never got to celebrate your win in February. You celebrate now.
You know, and he said Bill Weber asked him, "Did you cry?" And he said no. Really, I think that's what he said was no. But I'm not ashamed to tell you, I shed a tear. I mean, that was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in this sport.